As a lot 3 days ago, the NBA trade deadline has ended. I have put out short form content on most of the trades, but I just wanted to go and do a bit of a longer video going into how I feel about each of the teams' moves and just really like the acquisitions they've made and who they've got rid of as well, because there was a lot of teams that did make moves, a few teams that surprisingly didn't. But yeah, I'm just going to go into what teams made moves and kind of just go in team order. My microphone today is a PS2 copy of Crash Nitro Kart. And the vinyl behind me that I have up for this video is Nina Rachi's I Love My Computer. Anyway, Team 1 is the Atlanta Hawks. So the Atlanta Hawks added Jock Landau, Gabe Vincent, Buddy Hield, and Jonathan Kuminga to their roster, as well as a second-round pick. They got rid of Luke Kennard and Kristaps Porzingis overall. I think that, obviously, for Atlanta, their big trade was that Trae Young trade. So they move Trae Young on, they bring in a couple of expiring contracts, so they have a bit more flexibility in the offseason. Moving on Porzingis gives them even more flexibility. Kristaps Porzingis' availability has been quite poor for them, so he hasn't really had a chance to prove what he's like on this roster, but he wasn't an important piece, and he wasn't really a piece for the future for them. And with them kind of going into this draft with the Pelicans pick, so potentially a top 4 pick, they are looking to kind of build towards the future with Jalen Johnson there as well, Dyson Daniels, and Kuminga is a bit younger than Porzingis as well, so you get a bit more time with him. He is on an expiring deal, so they'll have to pay him in the off-season if they want to keep him around. Even if they don't, Gabe Vincent, he'll be gone at the end of the year. He's kind of just a roster filler there at the moment, taking up some money. And then Buddy Hield, I don't imagine he'll re-sign there as well. Luke Kennard, I was a bit surprised at let go of him. He's the best three-point shooter in the league. Right now, he's almost like the best shooting stats of all time in a single season. He's up there, which is obviously he's not shooting high volume. He's shooting a decent amount, but he's not like a first or second or third option on a team. But I was surprised they let him go. That being said, yeah, I think that I like Atlanta's moves. I think it's moves for the future. I'm very excited to see what they do this offseason. I don't think they're in a position to make any noise in the offseason, but I'm very excited to see what they do next. Team number 2, the Boston Celtics. I hate the Celtics a lot. Team number 2 is the Boston Celtics. So the Celtics added Vucevic and they got rid of Anthony Simons and Xavier Tillman. Anthony Simons has only been there since the start of the year. I think bringing in Vucevic is a great center. I think that was, even though Neemias Queta has had a big step up for them this year and he's played quite well, I think that Vucevic is definitely a step up in that situation. He's been having a really good year this year, and I think if Tatum comes back, that puts him in a great spot to really compete for the Eastern Conference and even potentially, as much as I hate to say it, a championship. That would really suck, but I mean, they're in a good spot. I think they've made the right roster moves to really, like Brad Stevenson, ever since he's been a GM, has just done a very good job of every trade that can remember that he's done has been a good trade, and I think he's keeping that streak alive with this one here. The next team is the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets added Hunter Tyson, Josh Minott, and Ochai Abachi. I'm going to butcher so many names. It is what it is, I guess. Sorry, guys. Like, for Brooklyn, it's just a bit of a nothing trade deadline. I always thought that you would have had some teams going after Claxton. I hope the Lakers would actually go after Claxton, and then other teams going after Michael Porter Jr., but nothing really happened in that sense. So no like competing for championship teams really went and tried to approach them. Surprisingly, they cut Cam Thomas as well. I don't know much about the inner workings of Brooklyn, if that was a surprise for them. It was a surprise for me. I'm going to be really intrigued to see where Cam Thomas ends up, but obviously they cut him, so they got nothing back from him. Next team we have is the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets add Xavier Tillman, Kobe White, Malachi Brown, 3 second-round picks. They got rid of Mason Plumlee and Colin Sexton. I think Kobe White's a very good basketball player. I think if Charlotte are looking on, they're still going to be bad this year, but improving after this year, I think Kobe White's a very good asset in that sense. Guard-wise, I think that it'll be interesting to see his fit along LaMelo and the rest of the team, but I think that's a very, very good pickup. Xavier Tillman and Malachi Brown, just like, they're there. I don't think they're very important for Charlotte. I think that Charlotte, they're like one game short of tying their all-franchise record or something like that, so they're certainly on the up. Hooray! But yeah, I think that interesting move for Charlotte. Getting Kobe White for that cheap is great for them. I think that they don't really lose out much on getting rid of Plumlee and Sexton, and they got rid of a second as well. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that fits and how this Charlotte roster develops over the next couple of years. Before I go into the Bulls, I just want to mention that this is like the bare bones of the trades. This is what I see as the most important things. I know there's some draft rights and some cash swap between teams. I'm not going to bring that up. I don't really think that's really super prevalent to bring up for me, just kind of going over and summarizing it. And I want to try and get this video as compact as possible. But yeah, onto the Bulls. The Bulls were absolutely the most active that they've been in the last 5 years, really, at this trade deadline. And you'll see, like, in a couple of my reels to begin with, I was a bit confused, but now it makes a lot of sense to me. So the Bulls acquired Jaden Ivey, Anthony Simons, Rob Dillingham, Lennon Myers, Nick Richards, Gershon Yabusele, Usman Dieng, Colin Sexton, and they got rid of Vucevic, Aya DeSumo, Julian Phillips, Kobe White, Dalen Terry, Kevin Huerter, and Dario Saric. Jaden Ivey's a great pickup. I think they got him for very cheap, so why not go for him? They've gone for some young assets, but it's clear that the Bulls are finally committed to being a bad basketball team. They've been mediocre for so long, they haven't been able to get a high draft pick because they haven't been bad enough to get good odds in the lottery. So I think this is them being like, we're going to be bad. And I think that's very smart. They have a very guard-heavy rotation, especially point guard-heavy rotation. But that's not going to matter because I think they're just going to be bad for 1 or 2 years at least to try and get these draft picks. This is them being like, hey, we're not going for any play-in spots this year. We're going to drop into that lottery and hopefully get some lottery luck and get a good draft pick and build around them. But those pickups, Jaden Ivey is a really enjoyable pickup. Rob Dillingham I like. I know he hasn't had a lot of time to shine. He's disappointed some Minnesota fans, but I think that's just because he's young. I think he'll get more opportunity on the Bulls, and that'll be really exciting for him. The only negative thing I'm really going to say about the Bulls is giving up Kobe White for so little is quite disappointing. I think they've kind of, and even the same with Vucevic getting so little back, I think they've held on to some pieces for too long and then their value has depreciated where they should have gone in a bit earlier and tried to trade them and get a bit more like future assets and young players or picks back. Cavs made a splash. They traded Darius Garland for James Harden. The Cavs also got rid of Lonzo Ball. So Lonzo Ball's been quite poor for them this year. He's been very, very bad, so he's in Utah now. Get that out of the way. It has been a bit of writing on the wall that the core four in Cleveland wasn't going to work, so you have James Harden being traded for Garland. While you gain 10 years in that guard position, I like the acquisition of James Harden here. I think he adds some good scoring and good playmaking. I don't think you lose out on that much playmaking. I think you just lose out on the potential development. Cleveland are kind of being like, we want to compete now. We don't want to wait. We want to go now. And obviously there's the rumors about LeBron going back there and having Harden there as well. Adds another like big star to kind of be like, hey LeBron, we're serious about competing right now. Come back to us for a retirement tour. I don't think this gets Cleveland over the hump at all. I think it makes them better, but I'll be very intrigued to see how they go in the postseason. My guess is they're going to be a second round to conference finals exit, and depending on that, I think we're going to see a couple more moves from in the offseason as well. The Dallas Mavericks, this was quite surprising. So Dallas Mavericks gained Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Tyus Jones, Marvin Bagley III, and 2 firsts. And they got rid of Anthony Davis, Jaden Harvey, D'Lo, and Dante Exum. They gave up on that Anthony Davis dude real quick, didn't they? Like, I mean, Cooper Flagg, Kyrie Irving, and D'Lo played 0 games together. Obviously, Kyrie Irving's been out all year, but Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis played, 1 game together as well. I think that, I mean, to move on from the Luka Doncic trade, I don't think they ever truly can, but you got to get rid of Anthony Davis to do that, and they've done that in their defense. So, I don't know. I think that they've just gone, Chris Middleton's expiring. AJ Johnson's a good young piece. I actually quite like that. When I first saw that trade, I thought it was Trey Johnson, and I kind of panicked because I thought Washington would be really stupid to give him up, but it wasn't. But yeah, the other pieces are kind of just Dallas being like, we just want to get rid of him. They get those 2 firsts as well. It's clearly the Mavericks being like, hey, we're going for this Cooper Flagg timeline. We're not looking to compete now. We're going to be bad for a bit, but then we're going to rebuild around Cooper Flagg. I'm going to be very intrigued to see what happens to Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson might be in the buyout market, actually. He's gone to compete, and they've just gotten rid of all the competing pieces. So I'll be intrigued to see that there, and I'll obviously be, when Kyrie Irving's healthy, I'll be intrigued to see what happens to him in the offseason. Okay, next, Denver Nuggets got rid of Hunter Tyson. Disappointed in the Denver Nuggets, actually. I think that they should have been making some moves, trying to be a bit active, but they weren't. So they just got rid of Hunter Tyson. Boring. Next. Detroit Pistons. They added Kevin Huerter. They added a pick swap via Minnesota for this year's draft, and they added Dario Saric. Detroit, I like their added shooting. I think they needed shooting. I love Detroit basketball. I think they've been so good to watch. Like, just so good to watch. I think they've been really fun. And I love Cade Cunningham. I love Thompson. I love Jalen Duren. Look, I'd get it. I'd get a Detroit jersey, like, if they looked a little bit nicer. They kind of look mediocre, but that's me plugging my jersey ranking video that should be coming out sometime. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I am really happy with them. I'm really happy with them adding shooting. I think that's a piece they really needed. Them getting rid of Jaden Ivey, though, I think they got rid of him for quite cheap. I think if they kind of waited a bit, they could have got more. But they really just wanted that shooting, because I think Detroit are looking at their situation like, hey, we're top in the East. Quite convincingly, might I add. I think they want to compete. I think they want to go for a championship. So they're kind of adding shooting and then seeing how this year plays out, but they want to stay up high. They want to add that shooting around Cade Cunningham and Thompson and Duren, who those three aren't great shooters, so you need that spacing around them. And they've done that. So I think that's going to kind of boost them up in the current state of things. I think getting rid of Jaden Ivey kind of hurts them in the long term, but I don't think it's anything that deep. I think they were going to eventually have to trade him anyway. I wasn't sure how his fit along Cade Cunningham was going to really go. The Golden State Warriors, they picked up Tingus Pingus. They got rid of Buddy Hield, Kuminga, and Trace Jackson-Davis. They messed up Kuminga's stock on their own. I think that they were really, really dumb with how they handled it. They had this value for him, and then they didn't treat him like he had that value. And then Kuminga also had this value for himself that they didn't believe that he had contract-wise, but they believed he had trade-wise. So I think they did good to get like Kristaps Porzingis out of it. My only thing with the Warriors is that they've overpaid Jimmy Butler a lot. I think that was so stupid. And obviously, I can be like, well, he's injured. But even without that injury, I think they overpaid him. They kind of shot themselves in the foot. They haven't built good enough rosters around Curry. I personally, I haven't been the biggest Curry fan. I know that I get into a bit of heat by having him like the second best point guard of all time, and I have him like 11th all time in my ranking. But I think Curry's a great basketball player, and I think he's deserved better rosters against him. I think that as a whole, the Golden State front office has been very stupid. They haven't built a good team. Kristaps Porzingis is a good center to pair alongside him, I think, but it's just availability. Like, availability is an ability, and that's one that Kristaps Porzingis lacks, so I really don't see him being better than a playing team, especially with Butler out. The Indiana Pacers, they added Zubac and Kobe Brown. They got rid of Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, and 2 firsts. I've talked to a couple people, and there seems to be like a bit of misinterpretation with the pick. The way I've seen it is, so they have a protected first overall pick from this year that they're giving to the Clippers. But if it goes between 1 and 4, Indiana keep it. If it goes between 10 and 30, Indiana keep it. And if it falls in between, so that 5 and 9 slot, in between those numbers, that's when the Clippers they won't get that pick. They will then get a 2031 unprotected first round pick. I don't think the Pacers have to worry about that. I think even though they bring in Zubac, I think that's a move to bring for when Hallie comes back. I love that. I think that's a great center. I think that's a better center than Miles Turner for them. I think defensively especially, I think that is just really good for them. So I can't wait to see them next year. I can't wait to see who they draft as well, because they're obviously very bad this year. So that's a great move for the future. Giving up Benedict Mathurin is a bit of a shame, but I don't think he's that crucial. I think he's a player that in a championship roster and a team like Indiana that you can kind of replace. I think Johnny Furphy's stepping up, obviously not the same role, but into a similar role next season. I'd like to see him in that championship aspiration Indiana Pacers team. I can't wait to see them play basketball next year. The Clippers, they gained Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, and Darius Garland, as well as 2 first overall picks. And James Harden, Kobe Brown, and Zubac all left. They're kind of going into a bit of a rebuild, the Clippers, I think. They're going to make picks for the future. They're going to build around Darius Garland, who I love Darius Garland. I'm a big fan of his basketball. I think that he's going to be very good at the Clippers. I think he's going to have a lot more opportunity to have the ball in his hands in comparison to when he was paired alongside Donovan Mitchell, who was another ball-dominant guard. So I think the Clippers are going to try and retool. They don't have a lot of their draft picks coming up because they traded them all away, but I think that they're going to be able to make some moves to try and be okay, just be entertaining enough alongside Darius Garland until they young players and build around him. Next we have the Lakers. The Lakers are very disappointing for me. I think they should get rid of Rob Pelinka. That's just me personally. They added Luke Kennard, who is the best three-point shooter this season and is having the second best three-point shooting year of all time, percentage-wise, and they got rid of Gabe Vincent. I wanted them to make more defensive-orientated trades first and then go for scoring. Luke Kennard played today. He shot 50% from 3, which I'm very happy with. And I think that Luke Kennard is a very good pickup, especially for just Gabe Vincent in a second. But I don't think it pushes the needle for the Lakers. I think it makes them a little bit better, but I assume they're going to be active in the buyout market. And it's gotten to the point where you kind of you give up on that defense unless a very key defensive piece comes available in the buyout market. I think if you're the Lakers, you go all in on this offense. You just try and make this offense as dominant and as volume scoring as possible. So you kind of just shoot teams out of the gym. That's what you should do if you're the Lakers. So that's the next step. But I'm a bit disappointed with the little moves that they made. Rob Pelinka's been disappointing once again. I don't really give him credit for the Luka trade anyway. I'm a bit critical of Rob Pelinka. I'm happy with Luke Kennard. I hope he continues to shoot the ball well, even though when players come to the Lakers, they tend to forget how to shoot a basketball. But I hope he shoots well, and I hope he pushes the Lakers a little bit further than what they could have done before. I got up to the Lakers part, and this video kind of stopped recording. So I'm going to have to go through it again. Okay, so Memphis Grizzlies, Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, and Gorgeous Niang, and Eric Gordon, and 3 firsts all added to the roster. Obviously, the firsts aren't added to the roster, but you know what I'm saying. Jaren Jackson Jr., Jock Landale, John Conchar, and Vince Williams Jr. all moved on. Clearly hitting that rebuild. Look, they're probably not going to build around Zach Edey, but I think he's going to be a key piece. This framing is probably so different. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, Zach Edey is going to be a key piece. I think they're going to draft well. They got 4 draft picks for Desmond Bain earlier this year, 3 for Jaren Jackson. I'll be interested to see how much they get for Jar, because Jar will absolutely be getting moved. I think their offense that they're trying to run is quite exciting, so hopefully they can get some pieces that gel well with that. Next is the Bucks. Nigel Harris-Davis added, Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey. Obviously, the big piece was Giannis. He didn't get moved at all. A lot of people weren't very happy with that, but I think it's smart for both parties involved to not trade him till the offseason. Giannis said he'll try and compete this year. They're not going to be good enough to do that. But yeah, I think it's a win-win for both sides, in my personal opinion. I don't think he could have gotten moved to a roster that was going to compete for a championship this season anyway. So yeah, next. T-Wolves, they added Aya DeSumo, Julian Phillips. They got rid of Mike Conley, but Mike Conley's re-signing back there. He just got cut after being traded a second time to the Charlotte Hornets, so he's coming back, so they don't really get rid of him. Aya DeSumo, he's a good pickup. I think you get a bit more out of him right now than what you would get for Rob Dillingham, who they gave up for him. I think that they were clearly going for Giannis, didn't get him. I would be shocked if they don't try and aggressively pursue him, or if that fails, another star in the offseason. Next, the Pels gave up Jose Alvarado, brought in Dalen Terry. Jose Alvarado given up for a bag of chips. Nothing much to say. I think Pelicans are going to kind of blow it all up in the offseason, as they should. They've been quite bad, and they don't have their draft pick. So, next. The Knicks. The Knicks brought in Jose Alvarado for a bag of chips, and they got rid of Garsha Nubaseli. New York are going to love Jose Alvarado. He's a New York born and bred kid. I think that he's that hustle player that New York really tend to get behind and they tend to love. I think he's going to be a good addition and especially help make that rotation a bit stronger and try and push for that conference finals appearance and make that New York team just that bit more competitive. I think that's a great pickup for them. Next, we have the Thunder. The Thunder picked up Jared McCain for a 1 first-round pick and 3 seconds. I'm going to go into why I think that Philadelphia is stupid for that in the Philadelphia segment, but Sam Presti, you genius. You don't lose anything. You get rid of a very, very low value pick, right? And you bring in Jared McCain, who before his injury last year was out and easily the best rookie in the class. He was having an historic rookie season, actually. And then he's coming back off a big injury, and Philadelphia have been like, well, we don't have the time. We don't want you taking up guard minutes, so you're gone. I think that Jared McCain was going to be a player that got his opportunity in a different team other than Philly, but I think they're just so dumb. Anyway, OKC, that's a great pickup. I think he's going to add that scoring off the bench. He's going to make their TikToks a bit more entertaining too. He's going to get a good vlog out of it. But I think that is genuinely a great pickup for OKC, like A++++. Phenomenal. Next is Magic. Got rid of Tyus Jones. Boring. Next. Okay. The Phoenix Suns. They added Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey. Got rid of Nick Richards and Nigel Harris-Davis. Look, I couldn't care less about Phoenix basketball at the moment, in all honesty. I'm not the biggest Devin Booker fan. Dylan Brooks, while he's a very good basketball player this year, I can't stand to watch him. In all honesty, I can't. Just because of his antics, he has the potential to be such a good basketball player, and so it's just so enjoyable to watch, but he just isn't. It's going to do nothing for him. They're a playing team at best. Next, Philadelphia. How dumb can you be, Dale Morey? Jared McCain for 1 first and 3 seconds and no players? And then Dale Morey has the audacity to be like, we sold high on Jared. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't have faith in the guy, and other players are upset. Tyrese Maxey was basically crying on national TV because he was that upset about Jared McCain being gone. Who wouldn't be? He's a locker room guy, not just a rookie or sophomore player. He has so much upside. I am saying that he'll be an all-star within 3 seasons, and he could potentially be one of the best shooters of all time. He looked great. Just because he's coming off this injury a bit rocky, they've given up on him. How dumb can you be? How dumb can you be? They're so stupid. Okay, next, Raptors. They got Chris Paul, Trace Jackson-Davis. They got rid of OK Abaji. Chris Paul's probably going to get cut, and he's going to get bought out by someone. Pretty boring trade deadline for Toronto. Next, so the Utah Jazz. They picked up Jaren Jackson Jr., John Concha, Vince Williams Jr., Lonzo Ball. So I think Jaren Jackson Jr.'s... First off, they gave up Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, Georges Niang, and 3 firsts. 3 firsts is a lot. However, this is the first time in a long time I can say I'm excited for Utah basketball. I think that is a very good pickup. I think defensively he pairs very well alongside Walker Kessler. I think that defense is going to be a very solid rock for that offense to then build upon. I think it's Keontae. I'm 90% sure Keontae. It's either Keontae or Keyshawn. Keontae George has been phenomenal this year. Laurie Markkanen's been a bit quiet, but still very solid this year. Ace Bailey seems to be a solid rookie, and they have an upcoming draft pick. They just have a very exciting roster, and while they give up a few little pieces and decent amount of lottery picks, I think it's worth it. I'm very excited for Utah basketball. The final team, the Washington Wizards. They got Anthony Davis, Jaden Harvey, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum. Gave up Chris Middleton, who was an expiring big old contract, AJ Johnson, Tyus Jones, and Marvin Bagley III, and 2 firsts. I mean, AJ Johnson, I like him. I think he's young, but he's not a key piece. Fine. I think Anthony Davis is a great pairing along Alexander Sarr. I think if you can hopefully get 50 games out of Anthony Davis next season, that is great. I think he defensively pairs so well with Trae Young. I said in my video about the Wizards that they need that defense alongside this team, and they could be great. Along with their first overall draft pick this year, next season they're going to be so good to watch. They will be one of my most watched teams next year because I think Trae Young pairs so well with AD. You got Alexander Sarr at the center already, so that front court is going to be scary defensively. Like, you're not going to come up against that. I think that's just a great pickup for them. I'm very excited for Washington Wizards basketball. So, pretty high note to end the video on. But yeah, that's just my opinions on the trade deadline. If you want to hear my opinions on the Trae Young trade that happened before, that's a separate video. It's only like 8 minutes long. Go ahead, watch that if you will. And there's also a reel, and it should be up on YouTube Shorts as well, of the Keon Ellis trade that happened before as well. So I'd love it if you guys would check those out. Thanks.